Welcome to the basement. Now, where do we even start with this one? The basis of this project is to build a world first Honda CX500 Turbo Roadracer. And not just to dawdle around the track or do track days. We're building this thing to win. Now, it's a little bit unconventional how we're going to do this. If you've ever heard of the Andersonmillerracing project, which is a land speed record CX500 Turbo that currently does hold the pushrod land speed record, and they make 125 horsepower, I believe, out of a CX500 standard engine. We'll be copying the principle they did, which is to run a standard CX500 motor, not the specialist turbo motor. And there's two reasons to do this. The first is CX500 turbo motors, whilst built stronger, are rare. And that also makes them expensive. And some parts are just impossible to get. So in terms of a race motor, where you're going to be needing to probably do some engine work over time, I just don't see it as viable. And secondly, it runs low compression, which when building a road racing machine, it's not just about peak power. You need power that works all around the racetrack. And I do worry that a low compression engine with boost will give flat spots that are hard to ride around. So the standard engine has the higher compression, and we can run lower boost on the turbo to compensate for that. And we should get much better throttle response and give me a much better racing machine, which should help compete against the factory races. It's not all about straight line speed in racing, that's for sure. So yeah, the plan is to build, I have a base bike of a Honda CX500 Eurosport, which I've now done a season of racing on as a proof of concept, because I wanted to make sure that the bike's handling, braking, and just general riding with a shaft drive, racing with a shaft drive, was going to work, because it's all new to me. And it's also a heavy bike. It's 200 plus kgs. When compared to most bikes I've raced, almost half that. So we did a season of racing, and amazingly, as the certificate here says, we came third. Which is amazing, since I never finished above fifth. The CX was hugely down on power compared to the rest of the field, but braking and cornering, it was impressive. We've got potential. So this project was born, and we're going for it. The Pre-82 class in New Zealand, in which we'll be racing, has very strict rules on turbos, where to run a factory turbo motorcycle, you have to have the factory turbo inlet manifold and the factory turbo. So the next step, we're going to be going through the process of converting the standard Honda CX500 engine with its carbs to run on with the factory inlet manifold with fuel injection and the factory turbo, and setting up a micro squirt ignition system, which will be running the injectors and running the ignition. So it's a pretty big project in that sense, that we're going to be mapping an engine from scratch, trying to use some of the old Honda original components while adding in some others. So it's going to be a real lesson on a completely custom fuel injection system for me. I've never used a micro squirt, but I've been doing a lot of reading, and there's a lot of help out there, so we'll work through that. Despite the turbo system, there's also a case of the motor being tired. So we'll be working through a full rebuild of the engine, including upgrade to a 650 clutch to give taller gearing and a better clutch to handle the power, and everything else that we're going to be doing to make it a better racing machine. So it's going to be front forks rebuild and springs, full front brake rebuild and braided lines. We got to make the new front wheel, which will be probably one of the first jobs. So if you see behind me there, there's the old wheel with the hub cut out. So now we've got adapter flanges to turn it into a spoked wheel to run a 17-inch front rim. I've had issues with my current rear rim, so that needs to be re-spoked. It's a monumental project that is gonna take time, and the target for the first race is February next year for New Zealand Classic Racing Festival, which is the biggest motorcycle event in Australasia. It's a big job, but we're going to break it down week by week, posting a video every week of the build, starting with the first one, which will likely be building the front wheel, the custom stainless steel exhaust, progress to date, and a couple of other bits and pieces. And ultimately, the big goal is to get onboard race footage. Hopefully I can scrape together enough money to get 2 cameras, then I can have one facing forward, one back, and be able to cut together battles. See a CX500 Turbo battling TZ350s, 600 Ducatis, even bikes from the other class in the race like the ZXR 400 and TZ250s that will make for some awesome battles with some top riders in the class. So that's the big goal. I think that's enough talking. So from here, I've just put together a couple of clips and photos I have of the bike racing to date. And just another reminder, please go and look at Andersonmillerracing. It's a seriously cool project, and their turbo bike is up and running now. So I've got a link in the description. Go check them out. And from next week, we'll be on the tools. Cheers.